welcome back to my channel. So it has been a bit since I last recorded. It's been a wild month for me. Not only did I throw my back out on the day before I was competing at MegaCon and somehow made it through the competition, but I re-injured my back last week, which if you saw my community post, that's why I didn't post a video last week. But I am mostly on the mend, trying to do a lot of stretches and strengthening my back, so hopefully I don't do it again. So progress, I thought it had been slow, and it really was. Last week I didn't do too much because I was very slow moving. I couldn't sit for very long without my back hurting. I couldn't stand for very long. I spent a lot of time laying down, but I had this weird injury where, like, at one point in time last week, I had to stand. I couldn't sit without being in excruciating pain. I couldn't lay down without being in excruciating pain, but standing was less excruciating. So I was able to stand at my sewing table. What is this? This cutting table, whatever that is. And do a little bit of work here and there until I couldn't stand anymore, and then the cycle continued. So there has been progress, and there's been far more progress this week than there was last week. So I now have 3 costumes in flight all at the same time, because technically 4 if you count Tegwell, but I sort of put Tegwell on hold until I finish these other 3 because I just have too much going on. And I was waiting for supplies to arrive, but now I have all the supplies for Tegwell, so that's paused for now. So I'm working on my mystery project, and I have all the undergarments completed except for the drawers. I do have to say though, like, I was using this opportunity to make myself a well-made, sturdy pair of Victorian underwear, like chemise, drawers, and the lobster tail bustle. I wanted to be able to throw them in the washing machine and, like, you know, just very well made. And we started off on a good foot with the chemise. The chemise is fine, but somewhere between the drawers and the bustle, my sewing machine started having problems. The bobbin, it's not, you don't hear it skipping. Like, I don't hear a problem, but when I'm done sewing, if you flip it over, there's just tangles of thread all over the back of my stitching. So I fought through the bustle. So the bustle is made, and I think it's pretty sturdy. It just doesn't look as nice as I wanted it to because of my machine acting up. And then I made the drawers, but then I ran out of white cotton, so then I bought what I thought was white cotton, and it was actually ivory, so now they look kind of gross in that color, like old and worn. And then my machine started messing up, so I stopped working on the drawers. Like, I did complete them as a mock-up, but I need to remake the drawers. It was a mess. So I meant to take my machine in to have it serviced, because honestly, that's probably the problem. I've never had it serviced, and I've had it since 2020, and I use it every day. So I probably should have had it serviced a while ago, but I didn't. So I went to do that, but the nearest shop where I live is over an hour away, and that was very frustrating. I didn't want to drive an hour away, drop my machine off, leave it for 2 to 3 weeks, and have nothing to do for that time. So I decided I would get myself a backup machine so that I could continue working while that was being serviced. Well, I think we all know my budget problem, that I'm really bad at staying within my budget. So instead of buying a backup machine, I bought a new, better sewing machine, and my old sewing machine is now my backup machine, which I still need to get serviced, by the way. I wound up getting the Yaya Han edition of the Burnett B79 embroidery and sewing machine combo, and it's expensive. It is expensive, but I got a really, really good deal on it because I wanted it like that day. I wanted to go buy one that day, but again, all the sewing shops are over an hour away. So I was calling around to see if anyone had any in stock, and the first place I called Didn't answer. The second place I called didn't have any in stock. They were getting one on Wednesday. And the lady was so wonderful. She was so nice. I was like, oh, that's unfortunate because I really want one, but I don't want to go that long without a machine because I use it every day. And she took down my name and number, and she's like, well, just keep calling around. Give us a call back if you change your mind. So I started calling another place, and she called me back a few minutes later, and they had a signed Yaya Han edition at a different shop that was it was open box, but it had only been used for a single convention. Yaya Han was the only person to sew on it, and she signed the top of it, and they had all the pieces and the software and everything. Like, it was a complete version, and they gave me a really, really good discount on it. I don't know, I guess because it was open box, I don't know, but it was signed, so I would think it would be more valuable. But anyway, I wound up buying it and drove 2 hours away to go and pick it up, and then threw out my back 2 days later. So I didn't really get to use it much until this week, and I am so happy I upgraded. My original machine was a Brother Marvel Edition embroidery sewing machine combo. It could only embroider a 4x4 square at the largest. I really used it. The embroidery just wasn't very good. And now that I've compared that machine to this one, the sewing is like, it is smooth, it is clean. I can now top stitch from either side of the fabric, and you can't tell which side's the bobbin and which side's not the bobbin. It has so many options and so many settings. Like, it is amazing, and it's purple. So I'm very, very excited to have it. I'm back up and running, but I still need to get my old machine serviced, which I can tell you it'll take me forever to do. But I'm very, very excited to have a new machine up and running, and my back is healing. So we should be on track to continue preparing things for MomoCon. It's only like 2 months away now. I will say that while I was out, I did continue to 3D print some things. So I'm going to have a raffle at my booth for a couple props I'm making. And then I think I will have some additional props on sale that I've made. So I did at least have my 3D printer running. A box of 3D prints that I actually need to paint and finish once I'm feeling able to. So all that was like the first week. Injury, working slowly on Victorian undergarments, and then 3D printing. So I got my Victorian undergarments done for the most part, but I don't have the fabric for the next part. So I spent a lot of time while I was laying down looking through Etsy and everywhere else to find a specific fabric I wanted with a specific detail. And I could only find it from a handful of sellers on Etsy that were based in China, and that fabric wouldn't get here until mid to late March. So I was trying to find something that would give me my fabric here sooner because I want to wear this for MomoCon, and I just couldn't. So I wound up moving forward and ordering my fabric, and it'll get here, I guess, when it gets here. So my mystery project is now on hold. But again, I didn't want to waste the time. So I was like, I have a bunch of white fabric left over. So I usually have stuff like cotton twill and whatnot on hand. I'm going to make Frieren, which is a character from an anime that I started watching a few weeks ago, and I just really like her outfit. It's simple, it looks comfortable. I'm like, I'm gonna make Frieren and wear that to MomoCon as well because it is an anime convention, a video game anime convention. It's perfect. And I will tell you, I never have a cosplay that is like of the moment or something that is like currently popular, which I honestly didn't even know Frieren was popular until I started working on researching her costume, and now my Instagram is flooded with other people who have made Frieren's costume. I saw an Arta ad for the wigs they recommend for Frieren. I'm like, okay, I guess it's a popular one. So I'm like, this is awesome. I'm gonna have a costume that is actually from this decade that I will be wearing. So I often cosplay things that are at least 30 years old, like Sailor Moon. So I'm very, very excited to have not only something that's relevant, but also something comfortable. So I was able to get her base dress done. I just needed the sleeves, the cape, and the gold details. I did wind up making my own striped fabric. I ordered striped fabric, but it wasn't going to get here in time. And then I discovered I had some black micro suede on hand. So I made the black stripes out of micro suede, and then all the white on Frieren is a cotton twill. My thought with her was to give more of a durable look to her outfit. She's wearing it all the time. She travels a lot. It's not very fancy. And I thought cotton twill, which has this nice, almost like jean, like blue jean type texture to it, I thought that looked very utilitarian. The suede was just a nice touch. Made that dress and realized that I didn't have any gold fabric that I liked for the gold trim. So I really wanted something like a brocade, and I looked and looked and looked and looked and just could not find anything that would work for this costume. Took me days until I finally found a gold damask. Is this right here? And it looked far more gold on my monitor than when it arrived. And I got this from Online Fabric Store, which is not my favorite place to order fabric. It takes forever, and half the time the quality is not good. So I was a little worried about this gold damask. Their site always seems to list an original price and then like their price. And I think this was priced originally at over $100 a yard. And their price was like $12 a yard. I fully expected it to not be high quality, but it arrived today, and it's actually really thick. Feels like curtains, which is what apparently damask is used a lot for. It feels really good. It doesn't unravel too terribly much like a brocade would. However, this is like, it's a very pale gold to me. My husband says it's tan, but it's not quite the color I was looking for, and it kind of looks really washed out on the white. So I decided to pull out my handy dandy gold paint, which you have seen pop up many times on this channel, because I didn't want to have to try and find another gold fabric, because I don't want this costume to take me very long to make. So I just did a little test, and I painted some outlines on it, and I think it turned out quite nice. It'll add a little sparkle, it'll add more of that gold color to it, and that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to cut that up into bias strips for the bottom of the skirt, and then I will paint it once I have the right length cut out, so I don't hand paint 2 full yards of that fabric. So I got free and done, installed my first successful invisible zipper thanks to Sarah Spaceman's video, and I'm so glad that someone else has traversed this costume before me, because there was some great advice in her video. Highly recommend checking it out. So I got that base done for free, just waiting on the gold before I started anything else, and I had to order more cotton twill because I wanted running out. And I decided to make something else to fill the time, because Online Fabric Store takes a very long time to ship as well. So I decided that I was going to make Sailor Mighty Sailor Moon. And this was strictly because I had a box of sequin fabric, and I was like, you know what can I make with this? It was originally going to be planned for a transformation outfit of Sailor Moon. I'm like, let's just use it now. I've had it for over 2 years. Let's put it together and let's see what we can do. So for the Sailor Mayu musical outfits, they're far more sturdy than what I would typically make for a Sailor Moon outfit. They typically have like a zipper in the back. They don't look like they're stretch, and they have a lot of detail on them. So I wound up choosing a crepe satin that I had on hand, and I turned it backwards so that the matte side was facing out, and that's what I used for my base. And then there is a light canvas interior to give it some sturdiness, and then I used some gold trim left over from Cosmos to cover up the seams, because I noticed that I should say that the Sailor Mayu one I'm doing, I think, is from the 2020, I don't know. It's one of the more recent ones with a band that they split the cast into 2. I'm doing that, but I'm not doing it exactly like that, because I'm replacing all of the red with a magenta, because it's just what I had on hand. But they cover up all of their seams with like a trim everywhere. Everywhere there's a seam, there's a trim. So I covered all my seams in this gold trim, and all of the red bits cut out of magenta sequins, which I had a bunch of magenta satin on hand to use as the underside of it, from Jasmine, because I stopped working on Jasmine. I got frustrated, and she is once again on pause. So I thought that was going to be a relatively quick build, until I realized that I had never worked with sequins before, and that is a bitch. It's a bitch to work with sequins. I'm just going to throw that out there. It's absolutely awful. Technically speaking, you're supposed to cut off all the sequins from all of your seam allowance so that you can stitch it through the machine. And I started that on the skirt panels, and I got maybe halfway through over the course of the day and a half, and then I decided I hate it, and I'm just going to sew it. I did a little research, and it looks like you can sew through sequin fabric that is 2 millimeters or smaller. And this is 2 millimeter sequin. So right there on the line, but I did it. And I put it on my brand new machine, freaking out, thinking I'm going to destroy this very expensive machine. But it's fine. I probably will need a new needle at the end of this because I'm sure it is just dulling the crap out of it, but it works. So I have been machine stitching all my sequin fabric now. I have not been removing the sequins. I don't care if there's bulky seams. It's fine. It's just a costume for fun. So I have all the magenta pieces cut out and stitched. I just need to stuff the bows, stitch the skirts back together, and then I can move on to the blue sequin fabric and do the top skirt, because it's a blue skirt with a pink underskirt, and the blue will be the collar and the overskirt. So I just need to do that, and then that's all the sequin fabric. The rest is just detail, because I don't think I'm going to do the sleeve arm poofy things in sequin because I don't want it to snag on the other sequin fabric and then move. So that was supposed to be a pretty quick one. Thought I would be done by now, but like everything, I am not. So, but I do have all the materials for that. I had to order some more from Amazon. The blue sequin I had was a navy. It just wasn't going to work, so I had to order different fabric, which I haven't even opened. I looked at it like through the bag. It's the right color, but I don't know if it's the right kind of fabric, so we'll just have to see. But theoretically, that could be done. That could be done pretty quickly. So I'm hoping here shortly to have Freerin and the Sailor Moon cosplay finished. And then I will go back to Tegwell if I'm still waiting for fabric for my mystery project. Although I keep eyeing this beautiful dress from Sakiso, I think is how you say it, that is absolutely on my to build. So I have 4 in-flight projects right now. And my next 2 competition pieces outside of Tegwell, we're just going to set him aside for a moment, but then my next 2 sewing competition pieces are, I'm going to make the Just Breathe dress from Ever After. I found an amazing vlog from I don't know, I feel like this vlog is from the early 2000s. Someone went and saw it in person, took the most amazing photos, and the amount of handwork that went into that dress made me want to recreate it. So that's going to be a competition piece. There's going to be a ton of hand embroidery, hand sewing, like the hand beading. There's going to be soldering of the wings. It's going to be phenomenal if I can pull it off. I'm very, very excited for that. And then I'm going to make this Sakizo dress that is on the cover of this book that I bought specifically because it had this picture on it. So I want to make that dress, and that is going to be another competition piece. So I have my next 3 competition pieces laid out. And I guess Elish Norn has just taken a back seat because I am in a sewing mood, not a silicone mood. So hopefully I'll be able to get back to feeling like experimenting with silicone. But until that happens, I'm going to be working on sewing. Because there's one thing that happened with Cosmos was I got to a point where I was doing a lot of the crafty bits of it and I wasn't sewing so much anymore. And I wound up really missing sewing and getting really frustrated with the crafty bits. So I just need to dive headfirst into sewing for a while, which I'm absolutely doing. Also, I am remaking the cape for Cosmos. The one bit of feedback I got from judges that I know I can accomplish is fixing the collar, the feathers on the collar. I can't repaint the ones that are there, so I'm just remaking the color altogether so that I can do that white and gold ombre on the feathers. And I thought, I wasn't a big fan of how heavy the fabric got with all of the jewels that I put on it. I put some really large jewels and just really weighed it down, so whenever I was moving through the convention center, it just didn't flow the way I wanted it to. I wanted it to billow behind me. So I decided to just do the whole thing. So I already have the feathers, and for the fabric, I don't know if I'm going to use this yet, but I found this beautiful rainbow fabric. It is, I think it's a chiffon, and it has the with metallic rainbow that goes with the whole idea of cosmos. I absolutely love this fabric, and I bought it. I know I'm trying to be budget conscious, but like, look at this fabric. So I'm gonna see if I can use this. My only hesitation with it is, most of the time it kind of looks a little gray. I think that's because of the metallic coating. But like in some light, it looks whiter. So my concern is, against all of the white on Cosmos, will this fabric look dingy? If it will look dingy, then I'm just probably going to take the cape from my other one and use it. But I am really hoping this will work out. But that is a later problem. I've entered another competition with it at Tampa Bay Comic-Con, and that is in August. So I am not going to worry about remaking the cape at this time. It can wait until closer to August. So that's where I'm at. Lots wound up happening, even though I was injured and unable to do a lot. So I expect there to be a lot to update next week as I plow through this weekend. I will be losing a week of work. I have to fly up to my work's headquarters, not next week, but the week after. So I will be unable to do anything in my evening time. So that's sad that I'm losing out on days. So I will be trying to hit this really hard since I lost out on so much time this month. My goal is to have Free Run and Sailor Moon finished before I leave for that trip. So we will see if I can do that. I will point out that does not include wigs. Does not include wigs. May not include accessories, but here we are. But yeah, so that is all I have for you today. I feel like I was a bit rambly, but I am kind of overwhelmed with the amount of stuff to share, and I still a little bit of pain and kind of need to go sit down. So that's all my updates for this week. I will see you in my next video. Bye.